Hi, I'm John Atack.
I'm Sam Atack.
We're going to talk about the difference between
Guilt and shame.
Guilt and shame. Now, you could look the words up and we could get into an incredible debate about what they do and don't mean, and I'd be happy to do that sometime if anybody would like to do it. But what we're going to do is talk about a differentiation that's made by many counsellors.
Okay.
So, guilt is when you do something wrong, you feel bad about it, and you think you ought to do something about it. It is healthy.
Yeah.
Shame is when you may or may not have done something bad, and you're made to feel awful about it for the rest of your life.
Okay.
When we talk about authoritarian groups, destructive cults, we talk about their propensity to induce phobia, fear. So if you leave, you'll be struck down dead. We talk about I certainly talk about their propensity to induce aversion or disgust in their members, which I don't think is talked about enough in this word. So our enemies are vermin, our enemies are to destroyed. The Nazis called the Jews rats. Or fleas. So did many people in other parts of the world too, which is just crazy. Whenever you look at genocide, there's a dehumanizing element. You're not as important as us. We are the enlightened ones. Yeah. We are the elect. We are, purebred Aryans, and there's no such thing, people. So that's an aversion that's roused. We talk, however, about guilt induction, and we probably should be talking about shame induction. And shame is used as one of the most powerful controlling forces. It's found throughout religious teachings that I think, that self-loathing, self-hatred becomes an essential aspect, say, the Opus Dei.
Yeah, that's
cult.
right. Yeah.
I hate myself
taken to the
so
extreme.
Yeah. I'm going to give myself a good old flogging because masochism as a sexual aspect of behaviour has not fully been recognised yet in certain areas of the Christian church. Apparently. They're just getting their jollies by doing that. They're not getting closer to God. They're just arousing themselves, and they probably then feel terribly ashamed that they did that, and around and around. The point is that you can make, look at Baden-Powell, the founder of the Boy Scout and Cub Scout movement, who was a general in the British Army, a major general in the British Army during the Boer War, and he determined that the soldiery were not fit enough, that their teeth were bad, they weren't tall enough because they hadn't been fed enough, and he wanted to do something about that. He wanted to create better soldiers, and let's not get into any mistake about what Boy Scouts are meant to be. But there is the most astonishing passage in Scouting for Boys that was taken out before it was published. I think it was published before the First World War. And the later editions, the recent editions, actually have this missing page where Baden-Powell attributes mental illness to masturbation.
Okay.
And
scientific.
And he does put it that way. He says it's scientifically been proven.
Oh, okay.
That this is the cause of mental illness. And it isn't, apparently. But the shame that was inflicted upon one generation, in my generation, it was still typical. You couldn't touch yourself there. That'd be make you go mad. In the next generation, they were all touching themselves there. They couldn't stop them. You bring about shame, and that means if you're a human predator, you can control somebody through their shame. Now, when you find out what the human predators are doing behind closed doors, it truly is shameful. But they have no sense of shame, but they do have what is called by some cognitive empathy. They know how you're feeling.
Yeah, they can recognise it in others.
Yeah. And so they will tweak you to make you feel more shame. So If you've done something bad and horrible and rotten, then you should make amends for it. You should do something to make up for it. Sitting around in a stew of shame and self-disgust won't actually help you. So we recommend healthy guilt, but we also think that shame is unhealthy. And it doesn't matter what you've done or how bad you've been, there is probably some redemption for you. And you should be, if you find yourself in a situation where all of those around you despise you because of some authoritarian boss who's telling them they ought to, it's probably time to go somewhere else. Unless, of course, you're a serial killer and you've been locked up, and then we think you probably are where you ought to be, and you should be ashamed of yourself. But
you're probably not, because you're a serial killer.
Exactly. It gets very complicated, doesn't it? Guilt, good, shame, bad. Thank you very much. I'm John Atack.
I'm Sam Atack.